welcome to another video, and you've got Mr. Everything English. Guys, I hope you are well. Now, the plan for this video, guys, was for me to begin my study time series 2022, where I go through English language paper 1 and paper 2, because so much has changed since the original series. The way I think, the way I teach, the quality of the videos. So I wanted to revamp and make an updated version, but that series, guys, will begin next week. Last video, guys, I made a video talking about the top 10 quotes from Macbeth, and a lot of you guys requested top 10 quotes from Inspector Calls and a top 10 quotes from Christmas Carol. And the reason I'm making this video now is because I understand that people are going through mock exams and people are revising. So you rather have it sooner than later. So guys, the plan is this video will be on A Christmas Carol, next week will be English language, and the week after will be an Inspector Calls top 10 quotes. Now guys, that being said, if you ever need any tutoring for English, maths and science, or you want me to teach you, guys, do check out www.everythingeducation.co.uk, because that is where you can find some of the other services that I offer. Now guys, rather than wasting more time with me babbling on, let's begin looking at what I think are the only quotes you need to learn from A Christmas Carol. Other teachers may have different opinions. They may say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever. That's their opinion. This is my opinion. Take it, guys, or leave it. Now, quote number one. Quote number one, guys, it says, if they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. And if you're somebody who has read A Christmas Carol, you better know this quote because it's a very popular quote. Guys, this quote, the first thing you want to talk about is that Scrooge is speaking from a point of influence. Scrooge is speaking from a point of influence, but influenced by what? Guys, you want to make the point that Scrooge has been influenced by capitalism. Capitalism was the belief, or is the belief, and is the ideology that man must look after himself, and that if you're poor, it's your fault. Therefore, Scrooge treats the poor as inhuman, kind of desensitized creatures that he has no responsibility over. And this is what this quote reflects. But the irony is, guys, the irony is, he's saying that those poor people are victims and just get rid of them and forget them. But the irony is, guys, Scrooge here is the victim. Scrooge here is the victim. Because Scrooge is talking about decreasing the surplus population and so on. But look at his life. He leads an empty life. He's complaining about there being too much population, yet out of all those hundreds and thousands of people, he has zero. He's a loner. He's a recluse. So you want to really speak about how this quote, yes, he's a victim of capitalism because of the way he talks, but the irony is, he has nobody. Surely he needs more population so he can fill that void. But being a capitalistic man, all he cares about is money. Not love, no compassion, not affection, just pure money. All right. The next quote I want to focus on is, I wear the chain. Guys, when I was in college, I used to wear a silver chain all the time, and I never took that chain off until later I realized I look a little bit strange with the chain hanging off my neck. But the quote, guys, says, I wear the chain I forged in life. The chain here, guys, you want to use it as a symbol. What is the chain a symbol of? The chain is a symbol of your actions. The chain is a symbol of what you do, the good and the bad. Everything you've done, guys, imagine it. Every action is a link of a chain, and the chain gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's a warning that your chain can drag you down. Your chain can weigh you down. Your chain can become like a disease that you're carrying around. So be careful and watch yourself, because you don't want to be that person who has to carry their burden for what they did in this life in the next life. And you want to use this quote, guys, a lot for questions like redemption, for questions about the character of Scrooge or the ghosts. This question, guys, can be used, this quote can be used a lot when it comes to those kind of questions. All right, Next. The next quote, guys, is when they speak about Mr. Scrooge and they say, his wealth is of no use to him. He don't do any good with it. His wealth is of no use to him. He don't do any good with it. Guys, very important quote. This quote here, guys, is a very important quote. We see how others view our protagonist, our main character. But you also see how other people view wealth. In a capitalist society, wealth is viewed predominantly for your own benefit. But in this quote, we realize that this is not the consensus. This is not what everyone believes. Other people believe that wealth can and should be used in different ways. And they almost see his wealth as being pointless. You're rich, but rich for what? You live by yourself, you barely put the heating on, and you eat vegetables every day. What's the point of being rich? Just watching your bank balance grow. And again, you really feel how Scrooge is a victim. But guys, Scrooge can't see it. Scrooge can't see he's a victim. Not now anyway, but later he can. But it's that point that he is a victim. And when you're a victim, you have tunnel vision because all you see is what you think is right. Second point, guys, you want to make with this quote. Hope. Hope, hope, hope. Look at how they view him. Nobody likes him. They view him as a lost cause. And that is why when he changes, it is even more of a bigger deal. Alright guys, this is an interesting quote. Guys, this is an interesting quote. I'm looking at here, guys, because this is where I've written my quotes. The boy is the boy is ignorance. The girl is want. What a lovely quote. This quote, guys, is such a profound quote. Now, why is it such a profound quote? I want to split it in two halves. Let's look at the boy's ignorance first. Who does this boy represent? Does this boy represent this particular boy? No, guys. This boy is a symbol. This boy represents society. Society is ignorant. What does that mean? Guys, society at large, especially the wealthy, are ignorant of the struggles of the lower class, are ignorant of the struggles of young men and young women growing up in the society, where poverty and suffering and young pregnancies have become like a cycle because society is unaware of it, because it's ignored. You kind of turn a blind eye. Those people, they're poor, it's their fault. You're ignorant that it's because of the capitalist system that creates immense poverty, where it creates lives and benefit for certain people like Scrooge, whereas others struggle to make it. And this ignorance creates a cycle. And this ignorance creates something very, very important. And that's the second part of the quote. Now, what is the second part of the quote? The second part of the quote, guys, is the girl is want. Want what? What do girls want? Are they talking about girls here? No. Society is ignorant, and because society is ignorant, they create people who want. But what do they want? They want the basic needs. They want food. They want a house. They want warmth. They want clothing. They don't want a Lamborghini. They don't want a 6-bedroom house with a swimming pool. They want basic needs, but they don't get these basic needs. Now, why has the writer chosen to represent the plight of society through children? Guys, it's the idea of persuasion. You want to hit it where it hurts. The writer picks the two most innocent beings in society, a young woman and a young girl and a young boy. In particular, a young girl. A young girl, guys, is probably the most innocent thing that exists in society. So the writer is doing two things. Number one, it's pulling on the chords of Scrooge's heart. But more importantly, us as a reader. Remember, this book was written in a particular time for a particular audience who held certain beliefs. Scrooge wasn't alone. He didn't exist in a vacuum. There were other people who felt like him. Guys, there's people today in America who talk about that we should kill off the homeless people to decrease the population. And this is what you want to use this quote. If you get a question in your exam that talks about responsibility, that talks about wealth or poverty, that talks about chances and second chances, use this quote. Because this quote, guys, can be applied to all those different questions. Alright guys, next one. Hard and sharp as flint. Scrooge is hard and sharp as flint. Firstly, guys, it's objectifying Scrooge as an object. But what kind of object? He's not a rose. He's not a flower. He's not a pillow. He's not a cuddly bear. He's flint, which is a hard material. Now, if Scrooge is super hard, what does that mean? It doesn't mean he's got muscles. If something is hard and you can't touch it, it's like you can't get through it. So it's the idea, guys, that imagine, here's Scrooge. This pencil, guys, is Scrooge. But in front of the pencil, I've got a first wall. And this wall is money. And then I've got another wall. And this wall is individualism, where he believes that life is only about himself. Then outside here, guys, there's another wall. And this is society, where he believes that he must act and behave in a particular way. We will never see the real Scrooge. We will never find who he actually is, because it's a wall after a wall after a wall. And that is what you're going to talk about as him being hard. Now, to get through these walls, you got to break them. And that's what the ghosts try doing. The spirits break the wall, break the wall, break the wall. But how come nobody else could break the wall? Because he's not only hard, he's sharp. If something is sharp, when you get near it, what does it do? It cuts, it hurts. Look at the way he treats his nephew. Every time his nephew gets close, he pushes back and he pushes back and he pushes back. So guys, when you look at this quote, don't just look at it as this quote shows that Scrooge is unsociable. Yeah, it does, if you want to get a grade 2. But to up your grade, really break down the quotes. One thing is he's hard. The other is he's sharp. What does it produce? It produces a character who is literally stuck behind these walls that he's created for himself. And no one can change him. Because he's sharp, nobody can get in. It hurts to get near him. However, do not fear, because we have spirits who come along and do the work for us. Quote number 6. Quote number 6. I am as light as a feather. I am as happy as an angel. I am as merry as a schoolboy. And I am as giddy as a drunken man. Boy, oh boy. Look at the change. Look at the contrast. Now, if you can't remember all those 4 different points, learn one of them. But guys, it's a beautiful quote. Nice and easy, short quote that you can use to show the change. Any one of those. I am light as a feather, happy as an angel, merry as a schoolboy. You pick. You can do all 4 if you can remember them. But even one of them, guys, is so perfect to contrast the man at the beginning and the man at the end. You could even talk about the repetition. I am. It's like someone trying to convince themselves, I am strong, I am powerful, I am this. He's trying to convince himself, and he's coming to the realization that, hold on, I am light as a feather. I am happy, I am merry. He's not felt these things before. So the constant affirmation of I am, he's almost trying to convince himself that I do feel this. This is the correct feeling. So guys, use these quotes to contrast. Alright guys, and then we meet the family of the book. The Theatchit family. What a lovely family. In the mess, in the poisonous mess, in the pile of manure, which we call a Christmas Carol society, there exists a family that is beautiful. And this is the Theatchit family. A family who, despite having a big family, despite having a low income, despite not having much food and wealth, despite having a son, a brother who has certain needs, they still make it work. And you want to learn this because you can use this when it talks about family, redemption, hope, change, even society. In a capitalist society, the ones that had the wealth are the unhappiest. The ones that are poor in our book are quite content. Mrs. Cratchit made the gravy hissing hot. Master Peter smashed or mashed the potatoes with incredible vigour. And Miss Belinda sweetened up the apple sauce. What a team. That is the opposite of capitalism. There you've got Scrooge working by himself, living alone and making his own food and doing what he needs to do by himself. And then you have the Theatchit family. Everyone chips in. Everyone works together. And it's the idea, guys, that nothing can defeat them because they're a unit. They might not have money, but they have something that is hard to buy. Love, affection. Now I'm going to go for a tangent, guys, but this is the same concept in Inspector Calls. Mr. Burling is minted. He has the money, but that's where it stops. He has the money, but he has no family. These guys haven't got the money, but they got something that money can't buy. They have a family. And guys, this is emphasized in the rule of three. Mrs. Cratchit is doing this. Master Peter is doing this. Miss Belinda is doing this. Alright guys, we have 3 more to go. Alright guys, quote number 8. Guys, quote number 8. Now, there are many quotes that I've been through that can be used to talk about the change of Scrooge and even the supernatural. But I picked this one because I think this is the one that tips him over the edge. This is the one that tips him over the edge, and this is when he goes to his grave. And the quote reads, "A churchyard overrun by weeds. The growth of vegetation's death, not life. A worthy place." This is when Scrooge realizes, damn. This is when Scrooge realizes, guys, that his end is going to be harrowing. Look at the end of the quote, "a worthy place." Meaning, you deserve this. And this is when Scrooge realizes that he must change, because if he doesn't change, his end is one of doom and destruction and gloom and absolute loneliness. This is how this quote presents the character of Scrooge. That his life is going to end in a dark and depressing way. Now guys, where it says overrun by weeds, you want to talk about the idea it's unkept. No one's taking care of it. No one's cutting the weeds. No one's cutting the grass. His grave is like a little forest. But it's that point. What did he expect? So each spirit, it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. That if, Mr. Scrooge, you don't change, this will be your final abode. And this is what scares him the most. And this is when you want to bring in a bit of religious context. Because society, guys, in the 19th century was becoming slowly but surely secular. Secular means when you believe in God less and less. But this is a reminder to Scrooge that money and everything he's chasing in the world don't really matter. Because at the end, he will die. And what comes after is very lonely, looking at his own grave. And this is the catalyst that right at the end speeds it all up and he changes immensely. Next one, guys. Scrooge was conscious of 1,000 odors floating in the air, each one connected with 1,000 thoughts and hopes and joys long forgotten. Guys, this one, right, I've simply chosen this quote. Guys, this one, I've simply chosen this quote because I want you to use this quote to show not changed, but the idea of the chains loosening. The chains are everything that controlled him. And as the play develops, Scrooge slowly begins to lighten up. He slowly kind of loosens himself. And this quote is a nice quote about how things that had long been forgotten are slowly coming back up to the surface. And it's a nice quote of showing the actual process of him changing, rather than looking at what he was at the beginning and what he was at the end. This is a nice quote to go in between. Last one, guys, is my favorite quote. The last one is my favorite quote. House fronts look black enough and the windows blacker, contrasting with the smooth white sheet of snow upon the roofs and with the dirtier snow upon the ground. I love this quote. I love this quote. It talks about the smooth snow on top of the roof and the dirty snow upon the ground. Now, guys, I want you to talk about here how the snow is a metaphor. The snow here represents people. The snow on top of the roof, that's relaxed, untouched. No one stepped in it. There's no dirt in it. The snow on top of the roof, that's looking over the dirty snow on the ground. The snow on the top of the roof can be seen as a metaphor and even a symbol of the rich upper class. Just sitting there relaxing. It's untouched. And then at the bottom, you've got the dirty snow. This is the poor lower class. These are the people that are struggling and the people that are suffering. And these are the people who are doing the hard work that allows those on the top of the roof to relax. Now, guys, as an English teacher, you may say, sir, that's a stretch, man. How are you telling me that the snow on the roof and the snow on the ground represents the upper and the lower class? Guys, trust me, you can make that link. As English teachers and as English students, you want to be able to infer. Not look at what the writer is saying on the page, but look at what the writer might have been trying to say. And it's a lovely link. Because this whole quote is a battle between the upper and the lower class. And it exposes what the flaws of society are. And this is a nice, lovely quote to use to really expose this, where the rich are comfortable and the poor are suffering. Alright, guys, those are the 10 quotes that I advise you all to use from A Christmas Carol. Now, these quotes are much longer than the quotes from Macbeth. But again, guys, learn one quote per day and you will comfortably be able to learn all of them. Please make sure you use these quotes in exams just to test if they work and just to test if you've learned them off by heart. Don't just learn them and leave them up here. Actually practice using them in different exam questions. Alright, guys, next week's video will be on English language, and then we will do the top 10 quotes from an Inspector Calls. I hope you find this and all the other videos beneficial. Take care of yourselves, guys. It's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.